Hello everyone, in this video I'll be doing an Orochimaru build guide for in Baldur's Gate 3. Now, Orochimaru is from Naruto, and he's a villain. This was a request to do, so first things first, we gotta pick our starting class. I think that the monk is the ideal one here. We get the unarmored defense since we're gonna be using clothing here. You can also go with the barbarian to give yourself the constitution defense, which allows you to wear a shield. So if you want the higher armor class, start with barbarian, but we're going to start with a level of monk here. So this gives us all the flurry of blows bonus actions, which is kind of a nice thing to use a bonus action on. As far as our stats will go, we're going to take our wisdom up to around 16. We can dump our charisma, our intelligence. Constitution is going to be an important stat, as well as our dexterity. So if you can get it somewheres around here, or you want to have either your constitution or your wisdom around that. So we're going to go with something like this. It's not best to leave your stats like on an uneven number. Like you could take your strength up a couple points there, or your charisma. It really just depends on how you want to go about doing that. But somewheres around there, we want to have our main score ability being dexterity and wisdom. So that'll be level 1, and we're going to get into this build here and how this can be Orochimaru. Now, I tried my best with making my tab here look like Orochimaru. It was kind of a challenge. I spent way too long making it look like Orochimaru. This is the best that I could get. You can go with a more pale tone, but I went with the purple one. Now we're actually going to jump out of the monk here. We're going to add in the druid, and you're going to see why, because Orochimaru, he raises the dead. So for the cantrips that we're going to take from this, Shalala is a good one, as well as the Thorn Whip, because they're useful for pulling enemies near you. And then also this gives you the ability to change your staff into a magical staff, so pretty useful early on. As far as our abilities go, I think that Creator Destroy Water is a very effective one, especially you got some Storm Sorcerers on your team, or anyone that's going to do lightning or cold damage. And alongside that, we could take Ice Knife to go. This is like your throwing kunai, so kind of works there. Creating water is really nice, though, ahead of battle, because you can do that before you start a fight. Enemies don't aggro when you use water, and then you're going to deal double damage with your Ice Knife's cold damage, so that's huge. Healing Word is a bonus action to bring up downed allies is nice, and he's about, resurrecting the dead, so that kind of helps if your team goes down. You can bring them back up with that. I also like Long Strider or Enhanced Leap. These kind of work as a Naruto build because ninjas jump around really far, and Long Strider increasing movement speed is always nice. So Enhanced Leap only lasts for 10 turns, so apply it right at the beginning of combat, or use Long Strider, which lasts until Long Rest. Speak with Animals is nice, and Animal Friendship can be okay. Thunderwave for the pushback is another option. Charm Person would probably work with this as well, as the lore of Orochimaru, it works, but I think that Long Strider is probably one of the more effective ones. Entangle can be pretty good too, and he does do Entangle in the early anime, so we'll go with that one there. I think that works great. So yeah, that's that for our first level. Now as we get to the next level, we're going to take the Circle of Spores. This is the Necromancer version, viewing death, necrosis, and fungal growth. And sporulation is just another part of life. You can manipulate spores to augment yourself and harm your foes. So we can use our wild shape. Orochimaru does wild shape in the anime, so it works. But we also get a bone shield that just works perfectly with this. As for our next skill that we can take, Long Strider, Enhanced Leap. Fog Cloud's even pretty useful as a concentration. It blinds and heavily obscures creatures within it. So any of these three will work great. And at the next level here, we get to choose our level 2 spells, so there's some great choices here. I'm a big fan of Hold Person. I feel like that fits thematically as well. And Flame Blade's actually really nice too. I have a video on how you can get a permanent Flame Blade, so go check out my channel if you're curious on that, because this is really crazy strong if you upcast it. Flame Spear is also really nice, but I'm a big fan of Spike Growth for the damage that you can deal, and Crowd Control is always welcomed. Moonbeam can be pretty useful, and Gust of Wind is okay, it can push back. Flame Spear can be another concentration to set up and have another minion alongside you, but that's that for this level, and then we're going to get ourselves a feat at next level, which makes this build strong. For the cantrip, someone should have guidance on your team. Poison Spray just makes sense for Orochimaru to have. Produce Flame can be nice for any one of these you can pick. It's really up to you for what you need. And I think Heat Metal is a good concentration for the damage that you can deal, but Flaming Spear is also another alternative. And Dark Vision, too, if you want to have that for the ability to see in the dark, which very useful and kind of also fits with Orochimaru here. Now we're going to take an ability improvement, take our Wisdom up to 18. This is the main stat for our Monk and our Druid, so it just makes sense. For our next level spell, we get some level 3 spells, so Call Lightning is one of my favorites because this can be abused with the Create Water, and then you can Call Lightning, and then this will continue to deal damage. You can keep calling Lightning without using any spell slots, which is really nice. Plant Growth is another really useful crowd control. Can cut movement speed into a quarter, and if you have someone that can set up Hunger of Hadar, put Plant Growth in it, and enemies will be stuck in there, basically. So, yeah, we're going to go with this for our abilities. Sleet Storm can be useful, too. We also get another attack in Wild Shape, but main thing, we got Animate Dead, so create an undead servant from a corpse, and also gaseous form. The Create Undead is going to be a really big focus of this, and then at our level 6, we actually get the Fungal Infestation, which gives us the mold encrusted zombie from a corpse. This can be used as a reaction too, which is nice, and uses a Fungal Infestation charge. We also get the Owl Bear there, so that's quite nice to have. And then as far as our skill selection goes, Sleet Storm's not bad to interrupt concentration, so sometimes it's useful just to end an enemy's concentration. Here is where we get some nice spells, though. We get the Conjure Woodland Being, which gives us the ability to also summon a Wood Woad, and this can also do Spike Growth, so we can do crowd control with our summon, meaning we free up our spells to not use Spike Growth, or we can do double Spike Growth, really up to you. Conjure Minor Elemental is fantastic. As I mentioned, since we have that, we can also take it off, and Ice Storm is a really nice spell to go with as well. So we're going to go with that. I think that works pretty well for our spells. We also get ourselves Blight, which is a Necromancy spell, and Confusion, which is amazing. This is a crowd control. It's like Fireball. It hits a large area and can knock enemies out for 3 turns. Next, we get another spell slot, so and we're going to get another one when we pick our feet here, but you can go with like Dominate Beast to have an enemy fight alongside you. I think that I don't normally pick this, but I think it works for Orochimaru, so we'll go with that. Then for our ability improvement, Wisdom up to 20, just makes sense. More damage, more defense, more attack roll chance. And then for the next level, Conjure Elemental is fantastic. I would recommend having that. Planar Binding works too. Attach your consciousness to an otherworldly being. I think this works with Orochimaru perfectly. You can also take off Dominate Beast to put on Insect Plague, because I think that this works as well with this build. It creates difficult terrain, disadvantage of perception checks, and it deals damage. And it kind of fits with Orochimaru, so we're going to go with that. So next level, we get ourselves the level 10, so it gives us the additional 2 attacks in Wild Shape. So we don't normally Wild Shape, but it can be useful at times. And we also get the Dilophosaurus, so it's nice. And we get 2 spell slot, or we get an extra spell here, so Mass Cure Wounds I don't love. It's better to deal damage than it is to heal, especially because we can get Conjure Elemental. The Water Mirror Madon at level 6 can heal our team, so that is quite useful. So we'll take back Dominate Beast there. And yeah, the Spreading Spores is pretty nice because I have the armor here that's going to allow us to do some pretty funky stuff with it. At max level, we get to choose another level 6 spell here. Sunbeam can be pretty nice to blind creatures, and it's a concentration that you can hold for 10 turns. Sunbeam's really nice, but Wall of Thorns as well, just for good crowd control. I think either one of these works well. Pick whatever one you prefer. Sunbeam can kind of be like I guess an attack similar to what they would have in Naruto, so Wall of Thorns too, I guess. So it just depends what one of these 2 you want to go with. This is our final level in Druid, so I'm going to get into the specifics of the gear here now. So this is interesting. So we do have an armor class of 20, so we actually will gain a bit of armor class by taking off our shield, or I guess the wait a second. Oh, this is light armor. Yeah, I guess that this doesn't count as clothing for the purposes of that, so we can leave the shield back on. Hood of the Weave gives a +2 to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Super useful for this build. Cloak of Protection just gives us a +1 armor class. There's nothing, no world where this is a bad idea to have more armor class. Armor of the Spore Keeper, +1 spell save DC, and when we deal necrotic damage, deal an additional 1. And well imbued with symbiotic entity, you can spread Bitterbang spores, Tin Mask spores, and Haste spores. So I'll show you how that works. And it's actually this is the iconic piece of gear for a Spore Keeper or a Spore Druid. I like the quick spell gloves, so you can cast a cantrip as a bonus action. Boots of Striding. That's all I had there for boots that were useful. So this is the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. This is extremely powerful. So it gives you heightened necromancy. Creatures have disadvantage on saving throws against your necromancy spells. Super nice. And Life Essence Harvest. So the life wielder kills a creature with a spell. They greedily absorb its energy and gain life essence until their next long rest. So what this means is that when we cast a spell that's necromancy, not only do we have the opponent have disadvantage on their saving throws, we get life essence and cast it again without using a spell slot. Unfortunately, we don't have level 6 spell here. I could have taken a level of wizard and gave ourselves Circle of Death, which I think is one of the most effective spells because you can cast Circle of Death. It's a big area attack, and then you continually spam it. And if you got level 2, if you're able to get the wizard subclass that gives you health back on necromancer spells, very powerful. So a couple different ways you can go about doing this. I went with the monk version because monk, fist fighting makes sense for this. And then finally we got the shield there just to give us a +3 armor class. Ring of Exalted Marrow, Extort the Risen, and Ghoulish Touch. These just make sense for Orochimaru. Ring of Regeneration. He's a snake. He regenerates +1d4 health at the start of each turn, and then the Spell Crux Amulet to restore our spell slots. So we're typically going to want to be in our symbiotic entity form here, so you're going to use this, and then that gives us the ability to do haste spores. That can give us haste, so that's really nice. So we can create the spores here. It's such a funny animation, but this will give us haste for 5 turns, which is really nice. Then we have the Tin Mask spores, Bitterbang spores, and spreading spores. So we have a lot of options for damage over there, which is really nice. Then we also have our Conjure Woodland Being, so we're going to pop that in. And then they can also summon in the Woodwode, so Fallen Lover, but they also have that spike growth, which is really nice. So it creates spike terrain on the ground, very useful to have. And then they can just attack with Entangle, which is, it's nice just to have all that extra crowd control. And then for us, we also have the Animate Dead and Fungal Infestation. So if you have dead bodies, you can use them to bring out more allies to help out. Kind of like restoring the... in the Naruto anime. I don't want to spoil anything if anyone hasn't fully watched Naruto, but yeah, there's... Animate Dead works perfectly here. And you also have Flaming Sphere, so... this can be cast to have another ally there, which just takes hits. We have Planar Binding, and then Dominate Beast for other options there. Plant Growth is a nice crowd control that doesn't actually use any... concentration, so you can use that, trap enemies there, and then use your other attacks to really just drop damage on them. We also got our ability to transform into different beasts here, so... we can go ahead with that because it kind of fits with the theme of Orochimaru. So yeah, this is an interesting build. I was trying to figure out the most optimal way to do this, but I think that taking the full Spore Druid is the best way to go about doing this because it just allows us so much freedom to go about doing this how you see fit. You can also conjure in different elementals, which is nice just to have. So there's a fire elemental you can conjure in the Myrmidons. We can also call in the ice methods too, which is nice because if we create water, they'll deal double damage, and there's 2 of them there. So there it is. Then we also got our Flurry of Blows, so we can punch people to death, making this build really powerful. So you can go in, do your Necromancer spells, and then you can Flurry of Blows on people to really deal some damage. So yeah, that is the Orochimaru build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next video.